So now we're moving on to what for me has been probably the most tricky thing to do in programming. Drag and drop with grouping. It's just really finicky and the code isn't very readable. And every time I do it, I have problems. So if you have problems with this, you're not alone. So the first thing we're going to do is to combine the to-dos and the categories into a single variable in the back end. So we're going to open up the home controller, which sends all the data to the front end. So we've already imported the to-do model. We'll also import the category model. And this is a tricky part. I'm going to create a variable that combines the category data with the to-do data. I'll call it categories with to-dos. Category with to-dos function query order by position, and then we say get. ChatGPT help me write this. All I know is that it works. So we'll just see what kind of data we're getting. We'll go DD categories with to-dos. DD stands for dump and die, so it's going to dump the data, and then die as in it's not going to run anything after that line. So save that and refresh. And we're getting the data. There's 3 here, so those would be our 3 categories. And 0 would be the first category. And somewhere in here we should find the rest of the data for each to-do. There we go. Looks like there's 7 to-dos with the first category. 2 dishes. Yep. Okay, we're getting the data. But first we have to return the data to the front end. So we're not going to return to-dos anymore. We're going to return categories with to-dos. And we also have to delete this DD command. Save. And we'll go get the data in the front end in todos.view. First we'll comment out this draggable code. Alt-Shift-A. And we also need to delete this because it's referencing a variable that we don't have anymore. We deleted it, so we'll get an error otherwise. And we'll bring in that new variable. Categories with to-dos equals computed page props dot categories with to-dos. And we'll just see what the raw data looks like. If we call it up here, save that and refresh it. Okay, so we're getting this very messy array. Let's just quickly make it scroll. So if we go to todos.css in the to-dos container, say overflow y auto, but we'll also have to set the top and the bottom of the container in order for this to work. So top, there, header height, and bottom, where footer height. Save. And there we have a scroll bar. And we can kind of see here it says ID1 day today, and then to-dos. It gives a whole bunch of to-dos. It goes down to here, and then ID2 day tomorrow. Gives a whole bunch more to-dos. And the third category is here. So all of the to-dos are sorted by category. But let's just make it look a bit prettier here. Clear this out and say div v for category in categories with to-dos. I'll do an h3 category.day, and then for each category we'll list off the to-dos. So another div v4 nested to-do in category.todos. And we'll just put this dash in here and to-do.description. Save that. There we go. Today, tomorrow, next week. I'll just add a line break in there. There we go, that's pretty clear now. So they're all sorted by their category ID, magically. I'll just give some style to the headings. Text purple, 800, font bold, padding top, 2VH, padding bottom, 0.5 VH. Save. That looks better. Alright, so it's clearly not dragging and dropping yet. With our last drag and drop, we had to use ref so we could mutate the data in the front end. So we're going to change our categories with to-dos variable. So I'll just paste it in because it's kind of crazy. Once again, I didn't write it myself, but it works. I'll save it and we'll check and make sure the data is still working. Yep, looks the same. It's just in ref format now, so we can modify it. Now we can use this in our draggable. I'm going to take this old draggable code and I'm going to paste it on top of this v-for loop. Draggable does its own for loop, but you just don't see it. It's just not explicitly stated. So I'll take category.todos and paste it right here. And we'll add a group. Name to-dos. Save that. And let's just see, can we drag and drop? Woohoo! Look at that, and it's going in between the categories. We can switch the categories. We can go within categories and switch categories. Nice. Let's rebuild the CN Tower today. Yeah. That was my daughter's suggestion. Okay, and let's just also indent these to-dos. So we'll give it a class, padding left, 1.5 VW, save. That's better. Okay, so we have it working in the front end, but if we refresh the page, they're all going to go back to their original position. Let's see, I'll refresh. Yep, they're all switched back. So now we have to set it up with the back end to remember its position. We already have at end equals on drag end. We just have to modify that function. We'll take all this out, make a new variable, an empty array. Const new to do data equals empty array. And then we'll loop over the categories and then the to-dos. And then we're going to push the new data to the array. And we're going to give it the ID and the two things that can change, the position and the category ID. And these three, ID, position, and category ID, are all the column names in our database. So ID, position, category ID, all formatted the same way. And then we just have to change this variable to our new to-do data. And the last thing we have to do is we have to update the controller that's associated with this endpoint. So here's the endpoint reorder to-dos. We have to go to the to-do controller. And we have to add that we're updating the category ID as well as the position. Save that, and if all goes well, it's going to work. Let's see. So let's rebuild the CN Tower today. It went to the back end. Let's refresh and see if it's still today. Yay! It's working! Let's move get groceries to next week. Let's go to Mars tomorrow. And let's organize the junk drawer next week. Let's see if they all stay in the same spot. Yay! And I just noticed I'll fix this margin here. That looks better. At least it's the same all the way around now. Alright, so we have drag and drop with grouping working. And I'll just push it to GitHub. And it's there. But you'll notice now, if we try to add a task, stay calm, it's not working now. So we'll fix up the create function in the next video.